we had like a 45-minute phone conversation, and it was him telling me to quit school. It's really important to my family though, because they kept asking that, is it important to your family that you complete school? And I was like, yes, I'm actually the first person in all of my family to go to like an accredited university. So yes, it is important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's external pressure.
You were in the business for 6 months
Yes.
as a college student. So you were taking classes, and you were kind of so you were seeking this as more as a serious career goal, or more of just like work experience, maybe internship kind of thing.
It was what they kind of promised me at first, because kind of on their end and with kind of like my school's end too, the audit dates didn't really match up for me to sign up for like the internship class that I would need to fulfill like the internship credit I would need. And so what I was promised is like, okay, well then let's get you trained for 6 months. And then, in 6 months you'll have new experiences, then we can count that as your internship.
Okay.
It was like, that's perfect. And part of it, me personally, I felt like I'm 21 right now, and I was like, okay, if I were to go through and become an owner, why would anybody want a 22-year-old like barely out of college owning a serious marketing firm? Like, so I was like, I don't know, like I'll do it and get experience. That's kind of my feeling towards it, which they really like to use. For some reason, all of the owners in my area have that exact same, oh, I just wanted experience out of college, but then now my life's amazing.
Yeah. Now, even though you were there primarily for the experience, were they constantly on selling the opportunity to you?
Yes, within, my first like a week and a half, I was still actually at my prior job, because my prior job was state affiliated, and so they required a 2-week notice that I was legally obligated. I signed a contract,
Mm-hmm.
and they were pissed about that. They were so mad, and they kept saying, our state, you don't have to fulfill a 2-week. We can just, fire you when we want. You can just quit when you want. You don't have to fulfill a 2-week notice. And I was like, well, I actually signed a, document saying that I would, so I have to. I was over the age of 18. It's in black ink. My signature's there. It's dated.
Mm-hmm.
It's notarized. And so I was like going to the atmosphere meetings and then going to work for I think 1 week. And then in the weekend, because I passed off, I think 2 of my systems, they put me out into the field.
Hmm.
So like, okay, and because it was such short hours, like I think 2 hours in a store like down the street from me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like not too bad. It's actually kind of fun. I'm working with this girl my age. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I kind of got in, I passed like the 2.5-week mark, which then finding out as a leader, that's whenever you really start hammering in people the opportunity, because at that point they probably won't quit.
Yeah.
Because hopefully they've had like a qualifying solo day by then.
Yep.
And they are 2 owners. One's a regional manager, and then the other I think is like a new owner about school. And they're like, oh, because the semester is about to begin. And I was like, I'm kind of stressed out. You guys want 40 hours a week. I'm a student. Like I'm a student first. And then the first person was just like, oh yeah, manage your time really well. What you would tell any college student who's working,
Yeah.
Make a timetable, whatever, don't be crazy. The second person, we had like a 45-minute phone conversation, and it was him telling me to quit school.
Was this the regional consultant?
No, it was the new
The
owner.
new owner. Okay.
Oh, it's an amazing opportunity. You should just quit school and do this. Could you imagine? Because I have around 1.5 years left of school at this point. If you waited 1.5 years to do this, like, a year feels like a long time, but it's also really short, and you should just quit. Like, quit school. I wish I would have quit school and started this earlier. And I was actually on speakerphone for this, and like my boyfriend was there, and we were both just like looking at each other, and I was like, what? Like, why would I quit school? Like, why would you want somebody to hire you who has like a half-done degree? Like, that makes no sense to me personally. And I just remember being like confused about that and being like, yeah, like, it's really important to my family though, because they kept asking that, is it important to your family that you complete school? And I was like, yes, I'm actually the first person in all of my family to go to like an accredited university. So yes, it is important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's external pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That was their huge thing with me about school and family. It's external pressure for you. You know, that pressure and their negativity. And I would kind of like, I think we did like a meeting once where we more or less had to draw like our circle of influence.
Oh yeah.
And mine was like mom, dad, my sister, one of my like college mentors. And then it turned in this whole, these people are going to say these negative things to you to make you quit the business. And I was like, in the back of my head, I'm like, if these people, like, this is my trusted circle,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's my legit circle of 5. If they were to tell me, watch out for this, I'm going to watch out for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to kind of notice patterns. This was probably, I would say probably around like month 2 or 3. And I started to notice patterns that the people that were in our office were, I mean, where I'm from, we call them transplants, and had no family in the area, maybe had a boyfriend, but it was like a casual thing, or their boyfriend didn't, or significant other, I should say, didn't care that they were gone all the time. And they had no real ties to the outside world, so they could only just work. And they were like the most successful. And I would bring it up. I'd be like, I feel like it's unfair. I have so much going on. And I would just be told, you're negative. You need to manage your time better. And it was like, okay, like, and we would do meetings about it, which were absolutely, you know, marketed towards me. Oh, we're going to make timetables together. And I would like make mine and it would be insane. So I'd be like, oh, I'm in school this day and this day. I'm in school from 12:30 in the afternoon till 6:30 p.m. I have a 2-hour break for homework that I get home. Wednesdays, you make me come to the morning meetings. And then every other day of the week, you have me working so that I'm doing 40 hours. And it was, yeah, and I'd be like, I don't have time to like shower or do my laundry. Like, oh, you need to manage your time better. And I'd be like, what time do I have?
Yeah.
Like, I'm never home now.
So you told us some of your highlights include emotional bullying, discrimination with looks, pressured into quitting school, which we just talked about,
Yeah.
and dealing with an ill family member. So let's start with, we already talked about quitting school. So was there some kind of conflict between you and the business when you had this ill family member?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I have it written down in my notes. I called it my 3 weeks from hell.
Okay.
In the span of 3 weeks, I had my debit and credit card information stolen, you know, just from a skimmer.
Yeah.
You know, and had to deal with the banks, get my money back. My car broke down from like an unforeseen issue that I was driving 1 mile a day, 5 days a week before I got this job. And then I was driving 25 plus every single day, at least 50. So my car broke down, and then we found out one of my family members had cancer. And so I remember I called my boss, the owner, and I was like, because someone else called me. They're like, we need to talk to you. And I was like, okay, like what's going on? Like, I'm thinking they're going to tell me family drama. And they're like, yeah, they're sick. We're in the hospital now. And I remember calling and freaking out. And they were just like, put a smile on your face and go out to work. And I was like in tears. I was freaking out. And they were just like, just get it together, be there on time for compliance. And that was kind of like the first ticking time bomb. I was like, what the, like, okay, like I get it because it was short notice. I couldn't ask for the day off. Went to work, visited the family member. A plan of action was put into place, but they were still doing like very serious cancer treatment.
And real quick, let me interject. So even if, like, I understand quick notice, but nearly any other company, business, will come at it from a standpoint of, all right, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can find somebody. Not forget the actual shit you're going through and make us money. Yeah. So,
well, that's what even, you know, kind of to do like a time jump forward. Whenever I quit and went back to my old job, this family member was going into surgery. And we were more or less told this surgery could happen anywhere from Christmas Eve to the second week of January. it was a team of surgeons, and just medically, there's a lot of strings that need to be tied before it can happen. And we found out like less than a week before when her date was going to be, and I told my boss, I was like, hey, by the way, it's looking to be a 10 to 15 hour surgery. Like, I want to be there with my family. Okay. Is it okay if my church prays for you? That was it.
Nice.
And then I got like nice emails from like my boss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we wrote cards for you. We're gonna send you guys flowers. So what? And then I cried. I called them crying, and I was like, I love you so much. I'm so glad I'm back.
That's an actual business. That's an actual company. Yeah.
Taking care of your employees.
Yep.
Then kind of going back to that, they had me training somebody from a different office at the time when I found out. And I was like, I don't know if I can properly train this guy. Like, I'm literally walking around the store, like, almost in tears. I'm freaking out. We're coordinating other coming in state. Like, and I kind of have to play the big adult right now because everyone else is preoccupied. Like, I'm the only one with kind of the lifeline out that can coordinate this. And so, like, those 2 days, I think I made maybe like $100 in sales.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we understand. And I would ask, I'd be like, can I please, like, just have 1 day off a week? Because we didn't know if it was terminal yet.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, we'll see. And then all my college professors knew, which college professors are pretty known for being more or less brutal. Most of them are. Like, I don't care about your excuse. If you're not in class, I'm failing you. I got doctor's notes. I was like, this is legit. I'm a family member that's sick.
Well, as a college professor, I must object, but go ahead.
But all of them were totally cool with it. Granted, I do rate all my professors, so I'm a little choosy. All of them, even in my upper division courses, please take the time you need. Like, family's most important.
Yeah.
And then whenever they gave, oh, we're going to, give you back your full-time hours. Like, you seem like you're fine. Granted, nobody had asked me if I was fine. That's whenever I put in my notice. So I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm angry at everybody all the time, so I don't see them. Like, I can't even clean my own apartment, because I'm not home. And I'm getting sick all the time because I'm not eating. Because you don't give me breaks.
Right.
I had already had an issue with a previous job about this, so I knew the information. I was like, oh, if you're working a 4-hour shift, you're obligated. I said, your manager owner is obligated to make sure you get a 15-minute break. If it's, 4 hours, 1 minute to 8 hours, you need, a 1 hour break, half on the clock, half off, 9 plus 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And they were so mad that I answered that correctly. How do you know that? And I'd be like, I've worked a different job before where I was kicked out of where I was working in to go take a break.
Anything that any working person should have rights to, like a 15-minute break, a 30-minute break, or at least a total of 30, 45 minutes in an 8-hour day. They demonize as lazy, as we're better than that. Other people need an hour lunch break. While they're taking their lunch break, we're making $300, $400. Just bullshit like that. That it's just unbelievable how they perceive themselves as being better than everybody else, yet they themselves can't see that they've been lied to since day one.
It's just people getting taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
It's people, being told that you're being sold this pipe dream.
Yeah.
An amazing lifestyle, because you're seeing the 5 top dogs in the business who are making money off of everybody else, living this supposed high life. And, and they want you to aspire to that, and then they liken it to, there's people who want to live like Kylie Jenner. There's people who want to live like this. Like, we all aspire to live that kind of lifestyle. Yeah. That's normal. It's like, okay, maybe, but you can't work people to death. This whole time now for time later concept is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, and I brought it up whenever I found out I had a sick family member, and I was like, I need time now because I don't know if I'm going to get time later. And it was like, I'm sure good things will happen. And I'm like, no, this isn't some, you know, someone's wedding or a birthday party I'm missing. Like, this is somebody's life.
Yeah.
I don't want to look back in 10 years and be like, wow, I was working a dead end job and I didn't get to say goodbye or spend good days with them, which, thankfully now isn't going to happen. But that was a huge prevalent thought in the back of my head.
Sure.
And I'm sure it's happened for other people too, or they do miss out on something big like that and then they quit and they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. I don't know, a sibling giving birth, or
Yeah.
there's probably people who their partner's births, or their children being born because they were out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Time now for time later.
One of the people that I interviewed previously, and I can't remember who it was, said time now for time later, but who's determining when is later?
Yeah.
So it could be never. I mean, because like these owners who have been in there for 3-4 years and are still in the field every day or almost every day, how much do you really have to do? Making $25,000 a year, making less as an owner than when you were a rep, when you were a team leader.
Yeah, and it's just, and I really fully believe that, yes, most likely in most jobs you get as somebody enters the professional world, you're going to have to do grunt work.
Sure.
That's just whether you are, a teacher working at a firm, you're going to have to do some of the boring and serious stuff before it really picks up pace. That's building experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you build legitimate experience, you build up. Until you're doing something you love and you have time for your hobbies. You have time for your family and friends. You have time to be home and do nothing and stare at the wall for 4 hours if that's what you want to do. And just live life. I think in the 6 months that I worked there, I didn't read one book, like, besides of what I had to read for school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an avid reader. I read all the time. And I was like, and it would make me sad. I'd be like, I got sent all these books for my birthday from family members, like 15 books. I'm like, I haven't touched one of them.
Well, they would tell you, get audiobooks for your drive in the car. That's the best usage of your time.
Why would I get an audiobook for something I already have? Which now I have read all of the books that in the month and a half I've been out.
Yeah.
I've now read all of them. I've utilized them. But yeah, I would just, and just the aspiring life they would create for themselves. Like, my life is so perfect. My life is so great. And I'd be like, your car's falling apart in the parking lot, but you act like that's not the car you're driving. You act like you have some brand new car, and I'm like, you don't have a headlight or one of your mirrors. Like,
mm-hmm.
And that to me was just the biggest juxtaposition of it all was, you sell people this lifestyle you can't even give yourself.
Yeah.
And they were so rude when I quit. I called and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know. And my school schedule wouldn't have worked out anyways. I'm getting to the point I'm taking like capstone courses. And it's like, you take the class you can get. Because it's not offered until the, next spring semester.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to work. I need to be a student instead. And I offered, I was like, I'll finish out this weekend. Next week is whenever Dead Week starts. I'm studying for my finals. Oh, this is such a bad time of year, because it's final quarter. We need you to be here for 2 weeks. We deserve this from you. And, we've given so much into you for X, Y, and Z. And I said, okay. But I don't want full-time hours because I'm doing finals. Okay, yeah, we can do that, like 20 hours a week. And I was like, that's fine. Like, whatever, that's 2 or 3 shifts plus going to meetings. No big deal, I'll do it. I'll still have time to be a human. I got the schedule next week, I was full-time. And I was like, what's going on with this? And the owner, we had a huge mass turnover right before I quit. We had, I think, 17 people in the office, and we went back down to 7. And they were launching 2 new products. And everyone, including the owner, was out in the field. Everyone was at a show full time. Trainees were more or less like, you're solo now, good luck. Like, and I was ticked. I was so mad. I was like, you promised me this. You have me driving instead of south, 2 hours. I'm driving north 2 hours. I can't do this. I did 1 week, and then that's whenever I called. I emailed. My email was like, due to like unforeseen circumstances, I cannot continue my 2 week notice. Thanks for the opportunity. Bye. And it was, my response back was, you can't even finish out your last week, ... And I was like, nope, sorry. That's all I said.
You also mentioned emotional bullying.
Yes.
So what were some of those things that you experienced?
It would be like in the breakdown calls. And, if I had a bad day, it wasn't okay, because you're told that there's no such thing as a bad sales day. You can make the numbers happen every day, which both my parents do sales.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's bullshit. Like, I would get so mad because I would argue with them because one of my parents does do auto sales, which is their favorite company to rip on, is car salesmen. Because they're the bad salesmen, they're not marketers.
Right.
There's a reason why there are more car ad commercials at the beginning of the year and in the summer. Because people are buying cars for Christmas. They're buying cars because they're getting their tax returns. And because it's summertime, they have more free time. They want to get out on the roads. They want something zippy and fun. Or they want a new truck or whatever. There's a reason why, and there's dead months in the car business.
Mm-hmm.
My other parent does insurance. Everyone needs insurance all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they have such thing as a bad sales day. And then I'd sit there and be like, wait, isn't this not sales? Why are you saying that to me? Like, oh, it's because it's marketing. And I'd be like, no, there's marketing campaigns that fail.
Yeah.
You're full of crap. And it would never be they would tell me like, your skill set is so good. You're so good at it. You're just so good at working the systems out. You're so good with the script. But it's probably because you have a bad attitude. You're just really negative. You don't have real goals in life. And granted, the person that trained me is like 2 years younger than I am.
Jeez.
And she would still tell me she has her life together. I obviously don't. And it was just, I'm negative all the time. Like, it was just at that point indoctrinated to my brain. That was my response. Oh, I had a negative day. And they would be like, well, what are you going to do to fix it? And at that point, I'd be like, I don't feel like I'm being negative. I'm getting emotional and upset because I know I'm going to have this conversation with you again because I'm sorry, you can only talk to so many people about cleaner. Like, that's car. There's car dealerships that don't sell cars some days. And then the next day they sell 15 and they get 15 out the door. And then they have, a 70 car weekend and then the next week's dead.
Yeah.
That's just numbers. What would they tell me? I was in this area, and that was my comment I kept getting. I would pull these pretty big shows. People would be like, that's super cool, sweetie. I would get called sweetie all the time by people. Mm-hmm. But do you know what area of town you're in? People can't afford this. Yeah. And I would say, in like my midday call or check-in, I would say, hey, like, this is the comment I'm getting. And they would be like, that's a lie. You're just not doing the systems correctly. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, no, I drove through this town. Like, nobody's in a new car. It's pretty worn down. Like, it's a lower income area. Like, that's, that's economics again. Like, logical thinking.
Yeah.
Your top seller keeps getting put in these areas where they're brand new developments and it's new families moving in. You wonder why they're netting out, $2,000 a day. Oh, but they probably don't want to sell from you because you're so negative. I mean, go get Starbucks or something, or go get something to drink, then come back. Go take a short break. Go take a set.
Yeah, things like economics and
they don't listen.
Critical thinking. Pretty much anything that is real and makes sense. Yeah, they just it's just the systems. If it's not in the systems, then it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So one other thing that you mentioned in your message, and this is something that you're not the first person to tell me that this happens, is discrimination with looks. So so what was that from your owner, or what were some of the things that you had to deal with?
So at first, how it kind of started was, I mean, when I first started, because you're excited about this new opportunity, no matter what job it is, like I would put like a lot of effort into like, having hair done, having makeup done. I always feel like I dressed nice. Like I have a good collection of business professional clothing. Um, and then the days got longer as I got full-time hours. I would have to leave an hour earlier, hour and a half earlier than our meetings just to get there on time because of traffic. So I kind of was like, well, I would rather sleep and have energy for the day rather than put on a full face of makeup, rather than curl my hair. Like, I'm going to go in a little bit more natural, a little bit more natural. And other people in the office did this as well. Mm-hmm. And our owner at a leaders meeting was like, I really want to, it was a critical conversation for all of us. Mm-hmm. I think we really need to try, looking better in the office, more professional, like ladies. So let's make sure we're wearing makeup, having our hair done. So I was like, okay, like I understand, sure, whatever. And then we were visiting another owner's office. And again, it was one of those things, this owner's office was even further away from me. So I'm going to have to wake up even earlier. It's like 5:30 in the morning. And I was like, no, I would rather do really light makeup. I think I curled my hair the night before, laid out my outfit. And I was like, I'd rather go in looking just fresh-faced and awake than a full face of makeup and be like dead emotionally and like personally.
Yeah.
And then my leader pulled me aside and was like, again, this girl was younger than me. I understand if you're not used to wearing makeup, but, we do work in marketing, so you should actually try to look attractive. I was like, what? And I was sitting there and I was like, all 4 years of high school, which I know it's high school, so it's like being a teenager and there's, some peer pressure involved. I was like, I got my butt up at 5:15 every morning, mm-hmm. on a full face of makeup, just because I liked to do it. And I was like, it was kind of like that Ron Swanson meme whenever he's in Home Depot. I was like, I know more than you, don't talk to me. So I wanted to say to her. And so I defended myself. I was like, no, I'm wearing like concealer and I have my eyebrows done in blush. Like, I'm not just wearing a full face. I was like, and I curled my hair. Like, and I'm wearing like a pencil skirt. Like, I look, in my opinion, that's more professional than a full caked on face of makeup. Mm-hmm. That's what I've been told from professors, other business professionals. It's like, when you're young and you can get away with it, wear less makeup, professionally, because, you, unfortunately, you could make it a conversation about like sexism or whatever. It's like that, you don't want to look too overdone.
Right.
Which I'm fine with. I personally agree with that. I like being on both sides. And I was so mad. I was like, how dare she say that to me? Like, judging her back because we were both still like young females. And I was like, her hair's a rat's nest every day. Like, how dare she? I was so mad. And they started doing it to other people in the office too. I got 2 people on my team. And the male, he like kind of was coming from a harder place. And apparently he had lost weight, so his clothes were bigger on him. And, you need to talk to him about not looking so rough. And I was like, I'm not comfortable doing that. Like, it's not like he's coming in slippers and ripped up jeans. Like, his clothes were obviously very nice, like what would have been tailored clothes, but he had fallen on hard times. And so this girl pulled him aside and was like, you need to make sure you're wearing a blazer every day and your shirts don't need to be baggy. And he more or less like almost started to cry. He was like, I'm trying. I don't have money. And she's like, oh, well, we all shop at Goodwill.
Yeah, because that's all they can afford because they don't get paid anything.
I remember sitting there and I was like, why would you tell someone if you're in this amazing opportunity that you shop at Goodwill? Like, which I'm not against. Like, I shop at Goodwill because I kind of view myself as a hippie and I'm like, it's better for the environment. And I live in a more affluent area where I find things that people just throw away. Same with like somebody else, like you need to tell her to do her hair. And I was like, her hair is naturally straight like mine, and you can tell she brushes it out. I'm not going to sit there and tell somebody they have to like damage their hair or do something they don't want to do. Like, that to me is not okay.
Right.
And it was just to everyone all the time. But then I didn't know my owner was the owner when I came in for my third round interview because she was in a mini skirt,
Hmm.
like very tight clothes. I remember being like, why is this girl doing my like I can see her underwear. Like what's going on? And this isn't a nightclub. And I would like, and they would come in like to me what was unprofessional. Like I probably dressed like older than my age, and they would like just to me very inappropriate clothes.
Right.
Like a business, what's supposed to be this business professional setting. My dad always told us, dress for success, put your best foot forward always.
Hmm.
But I would sit there and I'm like, this whole like a full, and they would wear like full Instagram beat kind of face makeup. I'm like, that to me is completely unprofessional.
Hmm.
Like, and it was just like it was almost the haves and the have-nots. And if you weren't like drinking whatever they were selling, you were like on the outside.
It's conformity and
Yeah.
control. That's what they want. If you can, they want to try to control you to the extent that you conform to their core beliefs.
Yeah.
And one of the things that sticks out to me about my time in the business was when we were doing second round interviews in the field. One of the things we were told to do was to never tell the person we were interviewing that they were right. We could tell them, yeah, you're right around there, or okay, sort of, but never to be like, yeah, that's a great answer, oh, awesome, or anything like that. And it just, the same exact thing translates to once you're in the business, because you can, like you said, you can look as professional as you perceive yourself, but if they can find one thing to critique you on, it puts them in control, and it makes you feel like you have to continuously do better, and that remains with you into ownership, because now you've reached ownership, but you really aren't an owner. So
Yeah.
if you're failing, it's something you're doing, so you have to keep going better. But I've talked to top high rolling owners who made less than $25,000 a year when you're supposed to be making almost six figures. But the brainwashing is so controlled that you don't see that and you don't question it. So what you see in the second round interview is it just goes all the way up to when you're a successful owner, whatever that means.
Yeah, I mean, my second round interviews they were good interviews, but I would like not cut the bullshit with people. And the minute they would sit there and they'd look at me and be like, "Is this a sales job?" I got to the point where I'd be like, "Yeah, it's sales."
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Okay, thank you."
So you're a college student. You're majoring in marketing.
Yeah,
And this business advertises itself as marketing, even though it's not. It's sales.
it's sales.
But so as a student who's majoring in this, what are some of the things you're noticing, or that you noticed in the business, that they do differently, incorrectly, that goes completely against what you're learning of what actual marketing is?
All of it. The kind of an umbrella underneath like that. Like, were you ever told the studies that their systems are based off of are from Harvard? Was that line ever
No.
given to you? Oh, we were
No.
told that. And about how, in the second round I don't know if your script was different. We were told that direct marketing is 10% effective.
Yes.
Indirect marketing's 3.
Yeah. That I remember. Yeah.
Um, and then the way they would do stuff is not marketing, it is sales. I mean, I guess the simplest way I can make an analogy for it is if you were a car salesman, you do use some marketing, even though your job position is sales.
Sure.
Because if I walk into a Subaru dealership, I have no idea what car I want. The car salesman's going to ask me, what do you do? What do you do for a living? How much do you drive? What are your hobbies?
Mm-hmm.
They're making a target market for me. If I say go out to nature a lot, I drive in city, but I need a lot of space. I have, 3 dogs. They're going to sit there and go through their inventory as a marketer, and they're going to be like, okay, we have a Subaru this, a Subaru Y, and a Subaru Z.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to tell me, okay, the best fit for you will be this. That's when it switches to sales, and they're going, okay, well, we have a 2019, which is the most expensive. We want you to get that one.
Right.
Not just, here's a product, here's a script. That's just being the car salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And so their whole spiel about how we're direct marketers is salespeople that are competitive, which is fine in any business,
Mm-hmm.
or pushy.
Mm-hmm.
Which now, I mean, I'm in a class. What I mean, I sound so like I took this one class in college and I'm an expert now. But we have looked at studies about generational, what people are preferring being marketed towards. And the competitive selling aspect and the pushy sales aspect has plummeted for almost every single generation.
Yeah.
From baby boomers to as Generation Z is now hitting adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to be sold marketed like that anymore. And
Yeah.
their whole push that people are buying the products because they probably feel bad for you. You probably got a couple suckers in there that think it's legitimately good and an amazing deal. And the rest just want you to shut up. Because why, if you're in the grocery store, you're already hearing ads above you.
Right.
You just want to buy your food because when you go home and turn on TV, if you're not using a streaming service, you're being bombarded with ads. You're a walking, talking, selling advertisement, which goes against everything marketing is about. The whole point of marketing isn't to sell something, it's to build a customer base. And even when it comes down to when you first start in the business, they tell you it's not about the numbers. It's about your attitude, it's about how you problem solve. But then if you're not making them enough money, it's only about the numbers. That's how you get promoted.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's true in even marketing jobs and real marketing jobs in a firm. If what you're putting out there isn't pulling in numbers, you're not going to get a promotion. But that's because you're actually creating content for the world. There's a reason why there's, certain brands that quality gets worse and worse and worse, but people love them. It's because they feel like they're a part of something. That's the marketing of it. They have this valuable, loyal customer base.
Yes.
They'll buy whatever shoe is popular, even if it falls apart in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But because they love that brand.
And that's another thing they hide behind too. Because on every single one of these companies' websites and stuff, they say we work with Fortune 500 companies, and they talk about how we're building brand awareness. Yet, all these products that I ever sold, no one heard of this crap.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it is a cheap Chinese knockoff of an actual product they may have seen, or some other thing that they ripped off from a competitor that they're trying to go into the market. But nobody knows about this stuff.
No.
You're not building a, like you said, a customer base or a return business, which is what you do with marketing.
I know that's some of the comments that I've seen on videos, like, oh, well, you think these people think they're too good for a sales job. It's like, no, because if they're going to attract people if they sit there and say, hey, this is a sales job.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to do it. I mean, that's the way of the world. If somebody needs a job and they are like, whatever, I'll do sales, they'll do it.
Yeah.
The people are getting mad because they're told it's marketing. They're told it's a bigger opportunity than it is. And they come in and they find out it's a lie. I couldn't fathom being in a Kroger or a Sam's Club or a Costco for a full year. The owner I was with, and I don't want to say the competing owners, but the other owners in the area were always in the field. And I would be like, why? You can't afford to live in your own apartment. You're splitting it with 4 other people in the office. And I don't see this quality of life. We had to do a conference call with the queen of conference calls in the business, Larissa.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them was about living below your means, which I fully believe in. I know people who do legitimate jobs that went and got very high degrees, their masters and beyond, or multiple masters and PhDs, who, because they did that, paid off their debt pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm I agree and believe in that because I have student loans. I want to pay those off quickly, or as quickly as I can, not just make the minimum interest payment.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if I have to slum it out in a 1-bedroom apartment for an extra couple of years, I'll do it. Not share a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 people and 60 billion pets, and understand why people are accusing you of being a liar. And so that to me, that's like in the whole experience that kind of wraps it up is it's people aren't mad because of the job they were doing, it was of the life they were fed.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sad. It's really sad that the people who like Larissa and all these people that have been in there forever, they don't. I think they choose not to see it that way because
Yeah.
they don't see anything that they say as lies. They say that everything they say, it's all based on these systems that they believe were written by the hand of God on Mount Sinai, and there's nothing wrong with them, and nothing could possibly go against these systems. If it doesn't work out, it's your own fault. You failed, and there's something wrong with you, which is what
Yeah.
everyone is told, honestly.
Yeah. We're told you're a horrible person.
Yep.
And if you have, multiple bad sales days in a row, you're told you suck for an entire week, and then they don't understand why it keeps getting bad.
Hmm.
But it was again to sell this whole like their social media page is such a joke. I checked up on it and I was just like cracking up laughing. I'm like these photos are all staged. Look like there's more people in them than they are.
Hmm.
Like you more or less have randoms in the crowd to make it look like you have 60 people working for you when I know there's only 5. You sit here and call yourselves marketing. You can't get above 200 followers on your page, on your public page. Like, and half of your followers are bots. I do
Yeah.
my own social media blogging. Like, I'm pretty well versed in that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can tell when a follower is a fake. I'm like, and half of these are fakes that you purchased, which I'm sure the social media company bought for them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you cut the facade, cut the crap. People wouldn't have an issue with it if it was like, hey, we are a sales job. You're going to make minimum wage, but, there's opportunities to make more commission.
Hmm.
People do it.
They could get people because I know there are people that are desperate enough who
Yeah.
would, if this was advertised as a minimum wage sales job with
Hmm.
possible growth,
Yeah.
as a lot of entry level jobs do offer that, at like
Yeah.
department stores and stuff. But if they
Yeah.
advertise it that way, they would get some people.
Yeah.
But they have gone down the rabbit hole of total utter deception and have decided to make a go of it that way, to lie to people and to brainwash a select few
Hmm.
into selling their souls to chase a dream that they will never reach, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But this company's been around for almost 40 years, so it's working.
One of the previous interviews you had with one of the admin about how they only wanted like fresh out of high school, in college, or fresh out of college, like professionals.
Yep.
And it's because it is. I mean, those are the people who, my age group is more or less told you're going to have to pull some crazy stuff to get a good job.
Hmm.
You're in a place with a diverse, busy market because there's a lot of people who need jobs and who want jobs and might be better qualified than you are. And they're feeding into that fear. And then they are taking those people and they're like, perfect.
Yep.
Here you go. Here's this opportunity for you. And they're getting people who are smart, but then they get pissed off when it's somebody who's too smart.
Yeah.
And read between the lines and connect the dots and be like, this isn't real. Like, oh my gosh, they would support MLMs so bad in my office. Like, I don't even know what we were talking about. It was before meeting, and they were talking about one of the makeup brands, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a MLM scheme. Ew. I'm not, why would anyone want to do that? You have to pay to work? No. And they were like, oh my gosh, no, it's not a pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid scheme. And I remember sitting there being like, why are you defending this so much? You're a legitimate business.
Yeah.
Every business owner I know, whether they just have an Etsy shop or they're running a store, hates them. And then I kind of got to connecting the dots, and I was like, oh, it's because that's what you are.
Yep.
You are under the same umbrella. And if I'm sitting here saying, yeah, don't fall for selling scented wax, someone's going to be like, well, then why am I doing this? Why am I convincing somebody else to buy cleaner? Like, what?
So you were only in for 6 months, and thousands, tens of thousands, maybe by now hundreds of thousands of people have gotten involved in this business, and they've just decided to put it behind them and forget about it.
Yeah,
Why did you want to tell your story?
I think really because it made me mad, and it's hard. I mean, I found a lot of like solace in like kind of hearing other people's experiences. I try to view myself as like cognitively efficient. Like I don't feel like I'm dumb, but I felt kind of in despair because I fell for it. I was like, I fell for this scheme, and then like that's kind of stuck in the back of my mind. I was like, how did I like get so far in that I spent a huge chunk of my savings account on gas,
Mm-hmm.
and that I kept eating it, and it's hard to like forget that whenever these people really do, they seek out people who are both smart and emotional because they know if you, which I mean, it's classic HR as well. If you can have somebody emotionally connect with your company, they're more likely to stay with you and not be part of your turnover numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really would sit there and be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like a couple of the girls in there, like you're like one of my best friends. I love talking to you so much. X, Y, and Z, which I did feed into because the university I'm at, like 10 people from my high school went to.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated with a class of like over 500 people, and over half of them went to the competing university.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of my high school friends are, 60 miles away from me at all times, which isn't a lot, but when you have classes in life,
Sure.
that's a lot. And so it was like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to people my age again, and they're my friends, and we work together. And then like walking away, like I felt so dirty because I was like, I wasn't ever a friend to them. I was a number. I was
Yeah.
just a statistic. And that just like kind of stuck in the back of my head. And I'm sure there's somebody else out there feeling that way. I'd rather someone, maybe watch this or see it pop up somewhere and feel validated and be like, yeah, no, they are lying to me. I need to get it out. Or, I need to second think this opportunity I'm being sold.
Mm-hmm.
Or, just stay away. Don't fall for these small marketing firms on LinkedIn and Indeed. They're not real.
Yeah.
I've been reporting them to my university. I've been like, these aren't legit.
Good.
The whole time.
Yeah, and that's one thing. That's one thing I would love to focus on, because I know that most, I would argue, colleges and universities have no idea
Yeah.
that this stuff is going on, and they kind of feed into it for recommendations for like internships and job experience. So my ultimate goal, I would love to get your story and all these videos in front of high school students, in front of college students, because like you said, and like Aaron said, and like I've heard other people say too, these are the ideal targets.
Yes.
They don't know any better. They've never, maybe they've never had a job before, or they're so far in college loan debt. You flash $75 to $100,000 in front of them in less than a year. Hell yeah, I'm gonna sign up for that and not critically think.
So I could buy a car, pay off my loans, then get a better apartment.
Yeah.